Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye. Positive, gentlemen. Positive.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, that's our mission here. That's right, people. This is a drinking game. It's a drinking game where we try to keep it positive. So if we say anything, if we say anything negative about this film, anything negative about this film, you hear this sound. That sound means that we have to take a drink, and we hope you have some fun and have a drink with us.
And you know what, Dave? I'm cutting your intro off. I'm already buzzing you for your little snide good luck comment. Continue, please.
So pour yourselves a glass and get ready to have your release date shifted about 87 times. And, dude, seriously, like, have you seen the production timeline for this thing? It was nuts.
Did they go? Is this pre-COVID? Was it pre-COVID?
It was slated to come out mid-COVID, and they postponed it. I think the first trailer came out January 2020. And funnily enough, that first trailer and what everyone was pissed about is it included an image of Spider-Man in the trailer, and they're like, oh, "Spider-Man, Morbius." Instead, they were doing Morbius in case anyone didn't see the cover.
No, they know.
And then it went into then they postponed it. So in February 2020, they went back into reshoots. And then they postponed it some more, and then it went into reshoots again in February 2021. And then it had its release date moved 5 times, finally settling on January 2022. And then it was delayed again to April 1st. And every time, seems like every time they delayed it, they went back and like refined a bit. Like, this has studio interference written all over it. Or someone was interfering in this.
But they kept the budget down though, didn't they? Didn't it end up still at about 100? Or do they have to sell some semen in order to keep it down? Like, I think I saw that somewhere that I kept under 100, so that this actually could make all of its money back. It could. We'll see.
It might.
People abroad might love Jared Leto.
I'd be interested to see the second week drop off, to be honest.
How much Jared Leto's sperm does it take to compensate?
That's right, people. This is Morbius starring Jared Leto, who you may know best as starring as Jared Leto in his life. That's how we know Jared Leto best at this point. I don't know if he meant for this and Gucci to come out so close together, but he really mastered the do it and then give everybody some time away, and then do something and then give everybody a break and then do something. He really paced himself well over the past 20 years, and now it's like, oh no, he's turning it. So I don't want to name anybody because we don't want to be mean, but you know those celebrities where you see too much of and we're like, go away for 5 years and then come back. Somebody's doing it right now in a series with him on television right this very second. It's called We Crashed. Somebody took a little bit of a break, and now she's sneaking her way back in, and I think it's working out for everybody. Cool. What do you guys think? All right. Okay, so let's just really quick. Okay, you guys want to talk about the Will Smith fucking thing?
I mean, we're kind of done talking about it. But they did say that he resigned from the Academy. I have my suspicions as to why.
Is it because the only people they've ever expelled are like Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein?
he would have. No, they've expelled 6 of them. 1 was from video piracy. The other 5 are sex offenders, and he would have been permanently added to that list. So he got out before he got put on that list.
This is the way it works, people. When you don't want to be on a list. You don't want to be on any list,
especially one with 5 sex offenders.
So he's like,
Jesus Christ,
he's got to resign. He'll still get the screeners from SAG, but you know.
Yeah, pretty big deal. I'm very curious to see what happens with his career moving forward.
Well, I'm very curious to see what the Sinister Six is going to do. And maybe they should have all just been in one movie like Suicide Squad, but instead Spider-Man stole almost all of them, and now they're all trying to come out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Dave, you're the Marvel expert on here. I think it's funny that DCEU actually did a pretty good job with what Marvel's trying to expand. It seems like they're trying to do all these solo movies. Well, I know that all of the Sinister Six
this is Sony. So this is the Sony Spider-Verse. It's a Marvel character, but it's Sony Spider-Verse. So what Sony is trying to do is what the DCU try to do, and they're making the same mistakes that DCU try to do, whereas they're trying to rush an ensemble film because they want their Avengers and stuff like that. So they're basically ramming these villains down your throat, and maybe not thinking it through. I don't know. We'll discuss.
Well, are all of the Sinister Six Sony characters? Are they Sony properties?
Yeah. Any ones that aren't probably they'll still be included. I think they're using the ones they've got access to be honest, because there's a couple that are supposed to be in there that they don't have access to. So But
So
I think
stupid.
because they own Spider-Man, they own all those characters. So
Jeff, how could you not already know that, dude?
I
How
really
could
thought
you not?
because guys, I stopped wearing pajamas 20 years ago. Like, why am I still talking about these fucking movies? Like, I really no. I'm happy to talk about Morbius. I'm very, very happy to talk about Morbius. But I really thought Black Widow was going to be where I hit my Marvel fatigue. I talked about it on a podcast episode here, but no, it was actually a fine movie. I thought Eternals was where I was like, why are we still expanding this universe? This should have been a TV series. Come on. And then now it's this, and now I know I'm hitting my Marvel fatigue. But what's funny is I actually didn't hate this as much as the internet. Well, the internet loved it. They're pretending to hate it to feed the love that they have for themselves on Twitter. A lot of good memes. I will say, I'm so sorry to everybody involved in making this movie. You had the makeup person from Gucci who almost won an Oscar. You had visual effects person who did fucking Thanos involved in this. You had the team that wrote the Power Rangers movie.
which one?
I don't know, the one from
recent one, right?
2017 or whatever.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 years ago.
So I think this is their next movie. I think they've been working on this for 5 years. So, a lot of anyway, people that have done shit put their time into this movie, and then in 1 week it was one big collection of memes. But I will say the memes were really funny. But I'm planning on being nicer to this film than the internet. Anything else you guys want to say before we set this movie up?
Let's get into this.
John, should we talk
I'll
about
say this before we go deep into it, because if we do get critical, I did get to go to that screening, and they were all there. It was pretty cool. It was called the Screening of the Americas. So like the whole cast was there, and it was like red carpet, and they had it synced up with major cities throughout North and South America. It was pretty cool. So they had a live stream, and we were in a couple theaters, and they had it synced up with some of the major capital cities and biggest cities throughout like lots of different countries in North and South America. And he spoke to every theater. He came to every theater. They all did, and like talked to everybody, thanked them for coming. So Jared Leto did plead, executive producer, right? Did kind of plead and say, I'm just so, he was so genuine. He was like, I'm so thankful you're here. Like, this is for the fan. This was so hard to get made.
Did they have him behind plexiglass for his safety?
No, I do. This is before everybody saw it. So everybody was very, 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 very excited and very grateful. It was a sea of Marvel nerds. So this guy next to me was literally like, he like tapped me. No offense to this guy. I appreciate it. Elizabeth and I chose not to get the free t-shirt, and we got a little shade because apparently at one point they all came in and they all took a giant picture with him in the front of everybody wearing the t-shirt. Elizabeth and I were just standing in the back, not wearing any t-shirts. It was, we were definitely the odd people out,
Like,
but it was cool.
Naked people
and I
doing
feel
in a
bad.
photo?
Honestly, yeah, we're just totally naked. It's just a shame, it's just one of those things where you're just like, this is the internet is mean, dude. We used to say like a movie would come out and then some critics might talk some trash about it, but generally speaking, the audience would usually be like word of mouth positive if critics hated something. And now, like, man, you can count on it. Like, what's that War of the Worlds quote that like the big brother doesn't need to actually be run by the government, we'll do it to ourselves. Like, we are canceling each other. We don't need to be censored. Like, this is just another one of those things. Like, they so humbly just tried to make a movie for nerds to be happy about, and they fucking tore it to pieces.
I love that you've got these movie audiences. Like, and I watched today. I watched The Bubble, and they make a comment at the end of that. It's like, how can anybody not like it? Like, we made a movie during a pandemic. We entertain people during a pandemic. They can't do anything but love it. And it was like this hopeful speech. Then this thing is getting slammed by that point.
Oh, yeah.
And the same things happen. It's like, okay, like we're gonna be nice, but I'm probably gonna be a little bit critical. But again, they got this thing done and out eventually.
Sure.
They had the odds stacked against them from the beginning. And any of the mistakes here, I don't think are filmmaker mistakes. I think they're producer mistakes.
And Jeff, I think this will be my overall thesis, and then I want to hear you be positive, because I think I will too. Just because, honestly, you guys, I think my expectations are just so not low, but they're not high anymore for these Marvel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not I'm not saying that offensively to the company, but when you have this many tentacles to your fucking universe, like, you can't all hit them out of the home. Like, I don't know. I didn't love Spider-Man as much as y'all did. I thought Venom was very average, but like, I wasn't upset by any of them. I just kind of was expecting it to just be a superhero movie. And that might be the ultimate takeaway, which is kind of a shame. If Marvel's not careful, they are going to start performing lowercase j just superhero movies. I think at one point they were making something more than that. that they were trying to make objectively good films. I no longer feel like I'm sitting in the audience with people who wouldn't be there if it wasn't for their love for Marvel.
Just to clarify,
that might be the difference.
Again, this is not a Marvel film. It has a Marvel character in it, but Marvel had
Sony Marvel. I think they talk to each other there, right?
They do with Spider-Man, but the other characters are exclusively Sony. It just has a Marvel logo on the front of it because it's a Marvel character.
Well,
and
they've done them well before, though. I liked those X-Men movies back in the day, and they owned them, right?
Yeah. Hang on. No, X-Men were Fox.
Really?
Yeah. 20th Century
Anyway,
Fox.
let's get into it. But
shit.
Either way, it's all... Well, this might be important, though. If you're like, I'm in the business, and I didn't really know the ins and outs of that. So if you're sitting on the outside, just an audience member... It's all the same gigantic Marvel fuck fest at this point. And it's just like...
And to be honest, once you've seen it, if you stay right to the end, you can be forgiven for thinking so.
Oh my goodness. What the hell happened? We'll get there. What the fuck was that? Yeah.
Well, for a while, the DC and Marvel was able to separate. But I think this is an odd situation for Marvel, Dave. So obviously, I take credit for forgetting that this is not a Marvel picture. But now I think they're at the point where they both have to be good. Otherwise, they both suffer. So you can't just sit there and be like, no, this isn't Marvel. This is Sony. Because for me, I now have I have a less of an opinion. I want to see a Marvel movie less because this movie wasn't as good as the other Marvel movies. So it brings the whole brand down. So that is, sometimes, okay, that's fine. No. And
Jeff, how much would you kill to be in a boardroom when they're talking to each other about that? That's like a high level conversation, right? Like, what IP do we give you so that you can, what are we going to greenlight it so that we don't, because Marvel could go off on their own way and create a whole plot line that would make Sony, it wouldn't make sense for them to greenlight certain characters at certain times. They're talking
weird.
To each other. They have to.
It's weird. You don't want them to have a $2 billion movie because then they'll
talk to anyone now. They got the multiverse.
Yeah.
God damn it. Oh my God, dude.
Anyway.
I can't.
Anyway, we can be critical as long as there's gratitude. My problem with critics is when there's no gratitude, when they're just being self-indulgent and petty. Yeah. Okay, so we have gratitude for everybody involved in this movie, even though the movie was, I think, a 5.2 out of 10. That's what it is on IMDb. Pretty fair.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is Morbius, people. This is directed by Daniel Espinosa. This is written by Matt Sazama and Burk Sharpless, and it stars Jared Leto, Jared Leto, Matt Smith, Adria Arjona, who I haven't seen her too much before, and looking forward to seeing more of her. I thought she was great in this film. Jared Harris, Joe Ferrara, Charlie Shot. That's it. Yeah, you get the deal. Okay.
I was quite happy to see Matt Smith step into a Marvel Sony role.
Yeah. Did I say Tyrese Gibson?
He's always good.
Did I say Tyrese?
I don't think so.
Tyrese signed up for something different, I think. And then Al Madrigal. And then this movie, the description is biochemist Michael Morbius. I love a good alliteration in a name,
It's Marvel.
Superhero, dude. You got to do it, man. Come on.
Stanley did it with everyone so that he could remember the names.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It's like, it's Marvel. And it's like, it's like at this point, the lines are blurring. Like everything's fucking Marvel. Okay. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. I love inadvertently. He fucking advertently, he very advertently infects himself.
There was a giant scene that told us it was.
Somehow, all of a sudden, he was a vampire man. No. It's very, very advertently. He infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. Vampirism.
You ever said that? I've never had to say that word before.
It's vampirism, but yeah. Who hasn't been down the village? You share a stall with some guy, boom, vampirism. You're gonna go and get a shot. It's
vampirism. It happens.
I figured every scientist was injecting themselves with some kind of ism, and vampirism was just the one that he chose. All right, let's pass it around. What do you guys think of this movie? I didn't even do the spoiler-free thing. It doesn't matter at this point.
We'll hold it spoiler-free for a minute.
Great.
All right, Dave, hit us. Let me say this first. I love it when we send each other texts. Like, we try not to talk too much about these movies before we talk about them here. We want it to be fresh. But Dave, every now and then one of us will send a little tidbit just to know where we're heading. And Dave sent this text. This is Monday night when we're recording this. Dave sent a text, just got out. I should call out on Tuesday. And anyone who knows our drinking game podcast, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. You've had some reflection. Maybe you cooled down a little bit.
I mean, I would say 75% of this movie is not what enraged me. It doesn't suck totally. At all. Like, it's like the internet suggests.
Nice try. Nice try, dude.
Let's put it in context. Like, I'm sitting there in the theater, and the pre-show starts, and we go to the Nicolas Cage trailer. And yeah, I know, right? I can't wait. But there's this line in the middle of the screen, and it gets darker in the bottom half of the screen, and I'm like, well, that's weird. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing just stops.
What?
And they're like, yeah, sorry, everyone. The projector's died. We have to switch to the backup projector, everything. So my projector chose death over a third screening of this movie.
Oh, no.
And so, like, I'm sitting there and I'm like,
hit him. Yeah, dude. Yeah, come on. That one was locked and loaded.
I jest. But, I mean, all I can say is I didn't not like this movie, but I would love to know where the rest of it is, because this just felt like they trimmed it for pacing and trimmed it for pacing and trimmed it for pacing till it was just like getting through this as quick as you could. It's like this happens, done. The pacing felt really weird for me, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the pacing. I love some of the couple of things they did, but I did not like the pacing at all.
I'm really glad you said that, because I have been trying to think, like, I've been trying to articulate, because I will stand by what I said. I don't really care that I didn't like love it, and but I also don't think I came out of there being like, God, that was disappointing. Like, it was fine.
Yeah.
For me. I wasn't.
It was the worst thing a superhero movie could be. Meh.
But, so after thinking about it, and of course Elizabeth and I were talking about it on the way home, and she's not a huge fan of these superhero movies, so I think they blend even more into someone who, for someone who doesn't watch all of them and really understands like where the contexts are and time and history for these people. But that's when it kind of really dawned on me. We had a similar conversation about some of the worst Star Trek movies, that they got to a point where when they start to feel episodic and not like films, not like movies that happen to work within their own worlds and anthologies, you get into trouble. It starts to, you got to be careful when you get into that place, because it loses significance. And that was for me more than anything else. This year, the movies that we have watched, even Eternals, you guys, I know it was so long. Like, the actual runtime is a long film, but when all was said and done, all 5 of these movies we've seen this year have kind of felt like extended television shows for me. That is not a hack on TV. We obviously we see amazing television, but they are still different mediums. You're supposed to feel a little bit different when you're experiencing them. And this one was probably the most. This one and Venom for me. I really did not care for that. They were the most episodic to me. I just felt like I was watching. I felt like I read a comic book. Now again, maybe people who love the comic books fucking love that, and they want to go in this direction. They want it to feel more like they're reading an episode as opposed to signing up for a 2.5 hour movie.
I don't know if you've been on Twitter, but I don't think they want that.
Oh, yeah. But I'm with you, Dave. Like, I don't think I would, like, if we decided to rewatch this at some point, if we were all chilling together and somebody put it on in the future, I don't think I would be like, no, we're not watching that. Like, whatever. I didn't think it was that
I'll
bad.
give it
I
a
don't know why
second look
everybody's
at
that
home,
upset.
but like there were times you literally couldn't see what was going on as well, like be it the cinematography, the effects, or like the grade, the color, whatever. But you couldn't see what was going on, and I liken it to the first Transformers, where
they wanted it to be
everything was
dark
moving
for sure.
so fast as well. Like there's certain times where stuff is moving so like, the effects were blurry and like.
Yeah, like, I kind of don't want to spoil that, but I want to talk to you about why on earth they chose to cut it to use the effects with that style. don't think it worked. It was not jarring in a fun.
I know what they were trying to do, but it was
indiscernible.
Again, it was like the editor didn't talk to the VFX editor.
Just all the slow mo, the in and out of super fast motion stuff. It just felt like it was kind of a video gamey kind of thing. And
I mean, that was that serves two purposes to me. It's like, let's grab a comic book frame and also slow it down so they can see the work we've done, and then keep going with the stuff you can't really see because it's moving so fucking fast.
Jeff, what did you think, dude?
So it's funny that Dave was like, I want to know what happened to the rest of the film. I read one of the podcast friends, not you, Matt and Mark. You guys are great this week. That's our Matt and Mark quota for the day. So somebody else that we follow said something like, I could have used an extra half an hour to figure out, to flesh out the characters more. And I was like, I can't believe anybody watched the movie and said they wanted 30 more minutes of it. And then Dave, here, Mike.
I was literally, my hand was moving. Oh, that's funny.
And then here, my co-host is like, I want to know what happened to the rest of it. I was like, no shit. There's the other person.
I just would have liked a little bit of flow between scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it either, but I definitely was like, all right, let's get on with it. There were only like 5 characters in the whole movie, and there was one story. You know, there were no subplots. In fact, I think that's what it was for me. I know that this was the Dr. Morbius story, and I know as far as fleshing out the other characters are concerned, Jared Harris was like a bad Alfred. Where you don't know what their intention or storyline is, but there wasn't even, they didn't even give him like room for like a secret.
He still brought it though.
He brought it
in the theater. I was like, this guy has like 6 moments, and he did it.
Yeah, he brought.
Can you imagine if a less talented actor was in that role? He would have been like, what is happening? Why is that guy there?
Think about this. This is all because of him. So he shouldn't be their Alfred. He should be their parent, and he. You know, they just, I don't know. They kind of did him dirty. Tyrese and Al Madrigal, you know, they couldn't figure out exactly where they were. Adria Arjona, I saw her.
There might be more footage of them.
Yeah, no, I know, you're right. And Adria Arjona was, you know, I saw an interview with her where they're like, they could have over-sexualized. And you could tell that they actually probably wanted to, because they had this person on screen. And I feel like I feel like the creators of this, maybe it was the studio, Dave, really wanted to consider sexualizing her because they definitely held on her a lot of times, and where she wasn't doing anything. And they just were like, but they didn't give her a story. You know what I mean? She really was a blank slate. They really did use her.
They really were relying on like your Marvel knowledge. It's like, oh, it's her. Things are coming for her.
And she's a fucking doctor.
Or your ignorant knowledge is someone, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And I just saw like, they just put a beautiful woman in a lab coat, and now we're supposed to think scientist because they're not giving her emotional obstacles in a storyline. Yeah.
And now she's a doctor, but she's clearly intellectually inferior to the other doctors on this, even though she's also a doctor. So it was, you know, a little tropey. But again, I'm with you. That didn't hold it down. I will say the Matt Smith turn was good in theory. I don't know if it like got me in the groins, but the fact that he became what he became was a good move. Do you want
to just turn the spoilers on and we'll go for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to activate the spoilers. So everybody get off the treadmills, go and watch this movie. And all right, you can finish your sentence.
Well, I'll go to Jared Leto, then I'll come back.
Okay.
Because I want, just for spoiler, people get out. Jared Leto was, I keep seeing things now like, is he good or is he terrible? Is he actually? And it's like, guys, shut up. He's good. He's good. But sometimes the choices. This is De Niro, which is Stella Adler, which is like the talent really is in the choices. Because that what's going to separate the best from the best? You know, what's going to separate fucking Ralph Fiennes from Daniel Day-Lewis? It's not much, right? So it's just like the choices. And Jared Leto was like a little one beat for the whole movie, but that might not have even been his choice because there might have been a great scene that they cut, or they decided to reshoot, or they decided to do something else for tone. Like, we have no idea. So I'm not going to knock Jared Leto, but yes, in the movie that I saw, it was a little
executive producer.
No, I know, but like, okay,
he might have had rule on Final Cut there. I don't know.
I'll just say what I rather than hate on him, I'll just say the character was a little flat, but the ideas were right. The Matt Smith turn, I thought, was probably the most interesting thing in the movie for me.
I love
Maybe it was underplayed for everybody else, but I thought that was the movie. That was
exactly what it should have been.
The scene in the jail, and then the scene right at where he sees the cane, and then he goes, it's like, yes, that's the movie. They should work middle out. They should take that scene and they should reshoot out from that, because that was really interesting for me. But
Yeah.
then they didn't do anything else with it. The whole rest of the movie was really just Matt Smith saying, "This is good, I promise." And it was like, there's got to be more nuance in there. But again, having said that, I didn't dislike
liked
the movie.
that
I didn't hate the movie.
I
It was
liked
just
that-
like, you know.
Matt Smith looked like he was having fun after that turn.
Yes.
Like he wasn't before
Yes.
the turn. He was a sick man, and then he found his power, and then he went. And it like I felt like at times he stole the movie from Leto. The people in the seats next to me were actively rooting for him to win.
You know, this reminds me of when I was in a college production of one time, and I was paired with another guy, and the two of us were a pair in everything we did. And I remember afterwards
Did
being
you
like,
get
"He's
vampirism?"
but I was like, he was having more fun than me. And Dave, you took my line. Because I was like so stressed about this, and he was making it look so easy. And I was like, "Fuck, Dave, you took my line." Because I was saying Jared Leto, I've seen him have fun in movies. I didn't see Gucci because I don't need to, but I saw the trailer enough times to know he was having fun. Even little things, I thought he was having fun. And in this movie, I don't think he was maximizing his fun output. I thought he was working too hard. Matt Smith, I completely agree. I thought he was having fun. Even Jared Harris, he was like, "I'm here. I'm gonna act. I'm gonna have some fun doing this." Tyrese did not have enough fun. Al Madrigal could have had more fun, but I feel like he put a governor on himself. And Adria Arjona could have had more fun, but the studio was on her shoulders. I feel like Matt Smith was the only one that was having enough fun.
He just went for it, yeah.
Which is, I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Feige had that on his fucking wall, if that was their mantra. Have fun, and then we get you. Have fun with us, get this, and then we're going to turn the knife, and we're going to make you care about these people. But first and foremost, the tone of those really excellent Marvel movies is everybody's going to have a good time. We're gonna make you laugh. We're going to spectacle. We're going to wow you. Yeah, there is something about these that, or, you know, let's go the opposite way. I feel like Tom Hardy was having too much fun, like in the Venom. Like I was like, what is happening? I just don't know. Like the tone, like, wasn't just quite in line. No,
Venom almost got there. It was like one of those ones where like he's meant, like they didn't really go into the, like they mentioned the vigilantism that they do together, and they didn't really touch on it. It was more about their relationship. So I would like to see it. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that too, like the crime fighting side of it. But
Dave, you said that you made a comment. I guess it was over text about how like villain movies tend to, you know, they usually just don't have the same kind of weight. I didn't even know he was. I don't know anything about this character. So I didn't know that was a thing. But you're right. I mean, if you're right, because I have been very unimpressed with the DC's Suicide Squatting attempts. I don't care. And maybe it is because in comic books, you do kind of have the black and white hats. I think one reason why Joker has worked so well and they use Joker so much is because he is an anarchist. So it's like it's baked in that you're not supposed to feel like there is anything beneath the layers.
And every time,
and I think for a lot of other villains,
and also
they try to do origins and it doesn't make sense.
And that guy's origin story has never been told except for once. And that's not canon.
You don't want to know, right? Yeah. But I don't know. I think so. That made sense to me when you were texting us about that. I was like, oh, so eventually we're not going to be on his side, or are we? I don't know. I wasn't quite sure how they wanted us to feel.
This was partly his progression, but yeah, by the time we get to the end of this, he's switching to villain mode.
Can you believe that Martine actually fell in love with him after he became the vampire and after he killed all those people? And she was like, "Let's have a nice, sweet little kiss now." It's like,
also, yes.
I know that's such a hyper specific. Right, I don't want to get picky, but like,
no. I think that's important. Like when you're sitting around and you're talking to each other about a script idea, and you say something like that. You can't just say like, well, the audience will get it. They have feelings for each other. No, there has to be another justification for why she's going to go that distance when she knows what she knows. And it wasn't there. So that whole ending really for me, because I have no idea who that person is, it didn't make sense for me at all why they fell back in love and why she ended up, we're in the spoiler section, why she ended up turning and fighting him. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, I was going to say also, making your girlfriend a vampire always goes well. Never fails to get a laugh.
Twilight, it's funny. Yeah, they're taking notes from Twilight.
No, that's actually canon. That happens to that character, and she becomes a full-on vampire.
I didn't know the author of Twilight was a comic book fan. It's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so out of all the things,
you're not getting away with it twice.
I totally agree that Matt Smith was having fun. I think he gave himself permission to have that kind of fun. My only two issues with Matt Smith in this role are that he's Matt Smith, so I knew he was going to be a villain. Like you cast a villain so I was just waiting for him to do that. I knew he was going to do that a lot lately. Somehow.
It's
He
true.
almost exclusively does that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's one of those things. You cast Dolph Lundgren in the 80s, you're just waiting for him to start, right? So that was one thing. And then in light of us thinking, we're theorizing that they trimmed a lot of this movie up to try to get it tighter and tighter and tighter down to its
It felt like
144 runtime. And for some reason, they thought, no, Matt Smith needs to have that entire dance scene in the bathroom. We got to give it to him. He's got to have every angle. He worked on that dance. I was like, what is happening in this bathroom? We've got it. All I needed was a tightening of the tie, one move, and he's out of there. I was like, what is happening? There were moments like that where, even though, again, it didn't really bother me because I didn't really care, but I was thinking, like, I wonder who fought for that scene to stay in there in its entirety. Who saw it and, like, really died on that hill when they were saying, like, let's make some hard decisions here.
Yeah, he's
I
worked.
just
He's
can't
worked hard on
imagine
his
somebody
abs.
saying that
Let's
was
do-
more important than developing a character, their relationship. I mean, that was so interesting because I agree with you guys. The way they told the story, and we'll probably give it up to the director for this. I'm sure it was in the script as well, but the way they thread the needle of him going to prison, coming out of it, gently kind of giving you hints. We all kind of knew where it was going, but the way they told that story before they started fighting with each other was fun. I had a really good time, but then it stayed there. So they pulled me in with something captivating, and then we just stuck to shallow water. We never really went deeper. I thought maybe Matt Smith was in love with him. I thought that they were going to go in some really interesting way. It's fucking 2022. They totally could have gotten away with something like that if they wanted to, and they just didn't. They didn't go the distance. It never became emotional. It was just circumstantial. Come on, be like me, and that's it. Nothing changed, and I thought that was a real shame because I think everybody was really in my theater. Everybody was really excited from that point on. You could tell that was a cool fight scene. Everybody, I think some people clapped after that fight scene in the subway, and then it just kind of stayed there.
What subway was
Nobody
that
really
as well?
changed.
Where is that?
London.
Where? Okay.
It's in London.
When-
They were in the queue.
When
tube.
did we get there? This whole
Yeah,
movie
those
takes
colored-
place in New York.
I know. So like
Why
that's
the fuck are
problem
they
too.
suddenly
what-
like?
Must be cheaper to
and
film
I'm
there.
only
How deep
guessing.
do these tunnels
I'm pretty
go?
sure that subway was in London. I remember
That's
the
what it
color.
looked like.
Maybe I'm wrong, but now it
It did.
did look like the
That's
London
absolutely
tube
what
to
it
me.
looked like. But I remember looking at it and going,
I mean,
that ain't no
whatever.
New York subway. Like they'd get off the
Some of it did look like-
they'd get up off the floor and brush themselves off a lot fucking more if it was the New York
They're-
subway.
They're long.
Ah, Dave.
Oh, come on. Their long lens walk and talk on the street with the crowd around them kind of looked like 57th Street. It kind of looked like a New York street to me. It didn't
I
look
mean,
like a
it
London
was
street.
it was definitely set in New York.
Yeah, we saw the
Yeah.
skyline over and over again. Yeah.
I don't
And they
know,
were
you
living in
guys, what
Brooklyn,
else?
of course.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't say. Here's the ultimate testament. What I keep coming back to with these Marvel movies, and Jeff, I feel like
Sony, John.
I'm usually
Sony.
sorry. Buzz me. I'm usually the naysayer,
Just tell him twice.
but I think I gave up before you did. So like, it actually does give me some. I always get a little joy when you say you've reached your fatigue with these things because I kind of feel like we're living in like a constant state of adolescence. Like, remember when like adults used to watch movies that had adults in them with adult
Yeah.
themes, and like we keep going back to the movies to see these kinds of stories. They're fun. There's a place for them, but the real test is: are these movies good enough for you to recommend to someone who doesn't love comic book movies? When the answer is consistently no, then I think we should just at least culturally, it's not that we say get rid of them. It's just that we at least start saying they are what they are. You're not a bad person or a freak because you don't love what these comic book stories do, because they dominate everything. So I think sometimes people feel like if you're not in the circle of loving these movies, then you're not in the culture right now. And I just don't think that's true anymore. I think that may have been true in the 2000s where people were like, look, come on, they're really good. You should get on board. You should give them a shot. They're good movies. But now I feel like they have too much power.
Dude, I
And
had
this
someone
is-
at work telling me today. We were talking about this movie, and he was working with a guy at one point who had not seen a single Marvel film, nor seen a single Marvel spoiler. So he had no
Yeah.
idea about this entire universe, and they finally got him to watch Iron Man, and
Fun
now
stuff, man.
now he's going through them, and it again, I was like, he said, I'm just waiting for him to come in like with his head down, dejected because of what happens to Iron Man, because he loved Iron Man. And I'm like, no, that was probably he watched Thor 2. But
You knew the Thor 2 joke was coming. You
I was
knew
about to say
it was
that
coming.
is,
John
you
has
can't
his
get
hand on the
away
buzzer,
from
and
it.
he was like, wait till he says Thor 2. Wait till he says Thor 2.
I gotta get Thor 2 in there somewhere.
Jeff, when was the first time? What movie was the first Marvel movie that you said the fatigue comment on? Was it Black Widow?
Well, I said it on this podcast for Black Widow, but really for me it was I started feeling it in WandaVision because I, unlike your British and Australian friends, was that I loved the beginning of WandaVision, and I was like, I love this new direction. We're going serial. We're going new. We're going different. The I Love Lucy, the sitcom thing was great, and then as soon as they tried to make it too big for its own good, that was where I was like, come on, because then we started cutting corners, we started skipping things, we started trying to jam shit in, and I was like, it's such a bummer. And then that went right into Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
What, Dave?
Great.
Good
thing the pandemic happened to them, because that movie was
originally
that show
Doctor
was so
Strange
much
was
better than
gonna
the
turn
first
up at
4
the end.
episodes.
And the
And I
fight
know
was
you all-
between them.
I know you all love your Agatha all along thing, but it just did not click for me. The I like seeing the cold open of the witches, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And the Falcon and the Winter Soldier got off to a good start, and then it was like, I don't need 6 hours of this. Like, this is why the movies were good, because it was 2 hours, take it or leave it, get the fuck out of there. But then Black Widow was where I was like, wait, they're plugging this in from 6 years ago? Like, come on, guys, this is ridiculous here. But then Shang-Chi brought me back in, and I didn't even love the last third of the movie as much, even though there was amazing shit. But really, it was a lot of Michelle Yeoh, it was a lot of Tony Leung, and yes, the rest of the cast was amazing too. But I was like, okay, cool, this is great, because I was where you're at right now, John, where I was like, okay, these are what they are. They're not desperate to tie them into everything. Spider-Man can do that all he wants with Doctor Strange, but like, let this movie just be this movie, and bring in people from around the world to do a one-off movie and be the best fucking Marvel performance you've ever seen. That's my opinion. I know Iron Man was amazing, but God, Tony Leung and Shang-Chi was so good.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. So then actually my Marvel fatigue waned, even with Eternals. I just sort of moved on. But, anyway.
You're totally right. I remember walking out of Shang-Chi and just being like, I still don't think I really care that much, but I had a really good time. And it was
I don't need to see another one.
That was another one where it looked like they were having so much fun.
Yeah.
And but and then more than fun, right? The acting was so good, and like they knew they had the ability, they had earned being able to take you beyond just having fun. So when they were saying goodbye to each other and he fucking killed Tony Leung, I was like, I was all in. Yeah. I was emotional. I was feeling it when the dragon got summoned. Which it's exactly the same story that I've heard them tell about when they greenlit Chris Nolan's Batman, and when they took a chance on the first Iron Man. Like, everybody was nervous, but they tried to put really good people behind it. I don't want to say we're hacking on the people, but like from the production standpoint, from the studio standpoint, they said, we're going to try to make a great movie. We're not going to try to make a movie for the hardcore base. We're just going to try to make a really good movie, and hopefully it'll work for everyone, and everybody will enjoy watching it. And anyway, we're here. I still don't understand why everybody is hating on it. It didn't strike me as one of the worst movies I'd ever seen. I don't know where all of this hate is coming from.
For Morbius?
People are being really mean. Yeah, people are being so mean.
They do that. The internet is toxic. It's like I was saying the joke at the end of The Bubble, where they're like, oh no, we made this film for them during the pandemic. They won't be mean. No, they're bitches.
Burn them!
They're bitches.
Burn them! Yeah. Jeff, what'd you say at the beginning of this? That like they're doing this for themselves because they actually really fucking love it, and they like. Is that what you were saying? Like, you made a comment about the internet's hating.
They don't hate this. This is the best thing that could have happened to them. They love this so much. They love the fact most of these people were writing those tweets before they even saw the movie, or like they wanted to see the movie just so that they could feel better about contributing to the memes.
I mean,
I live in Los Angeles now. You guys,
for a movie to fail, like, that's ridiculous.
It is something is happening. Yeah. I mean, the whole Godzilla King Kong. You remember that shit? Something weird is happening in the movie universe of like. Fuck you. First of all, you are the people who are going to buy the tickets. Like, you I'm saying not because you have to. I'm saying you are probably the same people who are excited to see them. Just be more positive. Don't go to the movie so you can critique it on Twitter. That's not also, like, what do you think you are? Some lame ass that has a podcast with a drinking game where you try to talk positive about movies? I mean,
we should also say really quick.
They think they're a 90s film critic.
This movie outperformed its expectations by a couple million. They expected 34 million. It got up to 39. Is that great for a Marvel or Marvel adjacent movie? No. But on a $100 million budget, they got $40 million opening weekend domestic. Overseas, about the same. This is making its money back. So you know what? Fuck everybody.
So yeah.
You know what? You made this movie popular, and I bet you people like us are going to this movie going, "What are you guys complaining about? This wasn't so bad." So go fuck yourself, everybody.
Yeah, and I feel like as a first outing, you know what? If there's a second outing of this where he's integrated in with, God forbid, the Sinister Six, I will go and watch it. Oh yeah, let's talk about
those. Are the most
who
useless,
is that?
Those are the Vulture.
I am the idiot in the room here. What are you talking about? Sinister Six.
Sinister Six is a collection of villains that joined up to fight Spider-Man. In this
You've
case,
already met half of them.
Yeah, in this case,
the recent Spider-Man,
Doctor Octopus,
Dr. Octopus,
the Green
Vulture, Green Goblin, Morbius. At one point, I think was a member. Rhino.
The Jake Gyllenhaal character.
Sandman.
Who's Jake Sandman?
Mysterio.
Mysterio. Was he a Sixer? I don't think he was.
I
idea.
looked it up. I looked it up for this podcast,
Okay, cool.
and it said, yeah.
Yeah. So
Is
basically, it's like the League of Supervillains as such, and they all join up to fight Spider-Man. And that leads us into
the
after credits scene.
I hate after credit scenes.
There
I'm glad
are
these
two.
came quickly.
These came really quickly, back to back.
Thank God they came quickly
because it was a fucking
you.
two-parter set like a couple of months apart, obviously. But
what was the first part?
The first part is where it shows the multiverse split open over New York, and then Toombs, as in the Vulture, appears in a jail cell, and there's this news article about, oh God, he's appeared in this jail cell. We don't know who he is. He's been released immediately. It was really weird. And again, this is where half the scenes from the trailers are missing. Biggest fucking cop out I have seen since Sinestro put on the yellow ring at the end of Green Lantern. I'm sorry.
How so?
Fuck off. Okay, he's just literally appeared. There's no reason for it. He wasn't originally there, so there's no reason for him to be pulled across. So at some point he would have had to have been sucked over. And he's like, oh, this place looks great. Didn't he have a daughter? And a wife and a family? He fucking cared. Like the Vulture. The guy who played the Vulture.
He doesn't have time for that.
Yeah, he had a daughter and a wife and everyone. And he just seems so happy to be shed of them. I guess.
That's a good backstory.
Also,
yes,
all right.
free.
So now that
I'm free of my wife and child.
What if they had said that? So now that I know who you're talking about,
yeah, it's Michael Keaton.
Did they cast him because of the play on like Birdman? Like
No, he was in Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man film, the first one, Homecoming. He was the main antagonist in Spider-Man: Homecoming. He was the Vulture.
Are you fucking serious? This is what it's getting, folks. I saw that movie. I saw that movie. We probably talked. I don't know if on this podcast, but I know I saw it, and I totally forgot about that.
Was it a boat or a bus at the end? I remember it being very Dark Knighty. Was it? Were they in a boat and he flies on the boat? I remember thinking like, oh, they're scaling down after the Andrew Garfield ones. I was like, oh, it's just like a guy who can fly and they're like on a boat. I was like, it was pretty simple. Was it a boat?
Dude, I don't remember this.
Yeah. But then, like the
second
scene, it cuts to like obviously a couple of weeks later, and it just shows Morpheus driving through the desert, and he stops, and the Vulture in full fucking Vulture gear flies up, and it's like fuck, he built that quick in this universe.
He got his gear. He got his gear quick.
And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking you and me should work together. So that obviously they're setting up for the Sinister Six, but these two, first of all. I know for a fact it was fucking tacked on because this was originally supposed to premiere July 2020. The multiverse didn't even exist then. So they've tacked this on as a thought to like, and this falls back to my earlier comment where Sony is trying to ram an ensemble film down your throat like DC did without them earning it. Like when Marvel did it, they had like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America. They built a following for these characters and then threw them all together as the Avengers. Whereas Sony is just kind of doing what DC is doing and just trying to shortcut it. It's like, here's the Sinister Six.
Do you think they're doing that because they want to cash in on the multiverse? Is that like the thing that's going to tie all this shit together?
I think they just think putting a whole heap of characters together will make it an Avengers. It's like
because 2012 was just
Marvel.
The most successful year of Marvel of all time. Yeah.
Yeah, and DC did the same thing. They threw Justice League together way too fast.
And what was the whole? And here's the irony, the dramatic irony of this. What was the premise of the Avengers? That they didn't want to work together. That's why, right? Yeah, that they had to be brought together. And now you're right. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like they're seeking each other out.
These after credit scenes
or they're
felt
just
cheap as
put
fuck.
together. Yeah.
Like again, Mike, you've heard my rant about the Sinestro yellow ring thing. Like they skipped like a whole fucking comic series of backstory and just had him put the ring on camera in a black background. It's like the biggest fucking waste ever of some seriously good literature.
This is Ryan Reynolds.
That was Green Lantern. Yeah. And they thought everyone was going to get really excited and go, oh, like it's coming. And no, nobody did. Nobody got excited.
Did we do was it really that bad for that one?
Yes, we did. It did not go well.
Okay. That's why I don't remember it. That's why I don't remember. We always drank so much by the end of those. I never remember those.
That yellow ring has sealed the deal. It is apparently it was really that bad.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, this guy, the director of Morbius, made Safe House.
And, Safe House.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my God, Safe House is one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Fuck, dude. Does anything happen in that movie?
I didn't mind it. Denzel.
Keep buzzing it.
Holy shit.
Denzel, dude. Denzel and Ryan Reynolds. I had a good time.
Did they? Did they? Because I didn't.
I had a good time.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Morbius, I think if I had to have any one big takeaway critique is that I feel like the studios are starting to get into the weeds and I'm starting to feel indifferent. So if that's okay, that's okay. I'll probably still go see it. We have a podcast. Maybe they don't care. But I think Kevin Feige wants more than that. I don't think he just likes making billions of dollars. I think he wants people to need can you mention the next movie because they love it. And I don't think we're there now.
You mentioned the meeting that happened this week. So Morbius. Here's what we're not going to do. I seriously, to be honest, I feel like they meant well, and there is some good stuff in here. I just feel like it was tweaked so much that it lost something. Like, when you just get so into something, like you just go back and fix it and fix it and fix it, fix it, and then finally you have to release it. Like, I feel like that's what happened here. They were just constantly tweaking it. Which again is
supposed to be, that's a studio culture thing too.
It is.
We're totally fucking theorizing here, folks. But word on the street from the Marvel world, whenever they interview a lot of these directors who, quite frankly, don't need to make Marvel movies, they often say that like it's not what you think it is. Like they're very supportive. They really let you make the movie you want to make. If they say yes to your pitch, they really let you do what you want to do. Except for the action scenes, they tend to have a lot more involvement there. But generally speaking, they kind of want you to tell the story the way you pitch it. I don't know if that was the case with this one. Maybe Sony had too many, fingers in the pie over there, and it just didn't turn out to be. It didn't feel like it had vision. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe
it seems like these superhero movies, whenever they take big IP like this, they could go a million different directions, and if it's too safe, it's death. It has to be something unique. It has to feel personal. And, we've seen it a few times now where it felt like it was maybe too impersonal.
Also, there was a huge backlash just before it was released where because of the very first trailer they released had an image of Spider-Man in it. And then it came out just before the image of the movie, like before the release of the movie, that there is no Spider-Man in this film. And everybody was fucking outraged.
Everybody was fucking
yeah.
Of course they.
It's like, how dare you not give me what I want? But again, a little bit of a misdirect from them. I mean,
you had 3 Spider-Men in one movie. Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you had Spider-Man. 3 Spider-Men.
3 Spider-Men.
How much more Spider-Man can you take in 1 year, folks? Jesus Christ!
Let's give one of them vampirism.
Well, you know what?
Spider-Man.
Jeff, what did you mean when you said that
for all of us.
Tyrese Gibson? You thought Tyrese Gibson had signed up for something else. What movie did you think he thought he was making?
Mall Cop 3.
Maybe. Well, his role was so small and his character had no range. So anything else, I guess? I mean, he was an investigator, but Al Madrigal got all like the funny adjacent lines. And
I mean, the holy water gag for me was great.
The holy water gag was fine. Yeah, I can see that being funny.
Well, see, I'm the one person on this podcast can pronounce vampirism, so I've obviously done the homework.
Yeah,
Spider-Man vampirism.
You're right. I haven't read a lot of literature that had vampirism in there and then had a pronunciation guide. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that Tyrese Gibson is the butt of every joke in the Final Fantasy, in the Fast and Furious movies. So maybe in this one he thought he would be a little bit more of a stoic leading man, and so he had but like in the middle of the interview, they're like, "You're really close to this person. You weren't here. You were probably on that boat. Here's my card." And it's like, I'm sure he was hoping that this person would be a little bit more substantive. Instead, it was kind of like, how do the detectives go to the meeting with the only living survivor of the serious crime scene that is still en route? And there are 3 questions, and then they leave their card and leave. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he wasn't sitting there. Like, I'm sure he expected more from it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Do I buzz that? I'm gonna buzz that. What the hell?
The fuck sure, I'm almost done with this, and we gotta wind this shit down. Yeah. Any final thoughts that you guys have to get off your chest?
I'm good.
No, I'm good. That was
if you want to go see a movie, yeah.
This was okay.
We can't keep recommending the movie after the spoiler section. This is 30 minutes in. You guys like, if you want to go see a movie that we haven't already spoiled yet, then go see it.
I mean, I'm glad you went and saw it. If you're listening now, and I'd be very interested to hear what you think. Hit us up on the socials or YouTube or Facebook or all those things.
I'm assuming it's going to be very positive or very negative. Thought. So go ahead, Dave will definitely respond.
I might. They're coming after you guys on YouTube lately.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah, anybody talk some shit about us this week?
Actually, we've had some someone really agreed with you, John, and everyone just hates Jeff.
Was it Don't Look Up?
I'm kidding.
Was it Don't Look Up? Because John in this episode today said something like, "Look, if we're entertaining, if you're having fun, then you have us." And that's what I thought Don't Look Up was going to do. And I said that in Don't Look Up. And you're like, "Oh, that's such bullshit." Like,
oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. You hated Don't Look Up.
Sorry. I didn't hate it. I just knew it wasn't good. And you guys kept saying it was good.
I thought of you when Amy Schumer, I think it was Amy Schumer, when she made that joke.
Amy Schumer. John, what is up with your pronunciations today? Spider-Man.
I said Schumer, right?
Yeah.
When she made the joke and she was like, "Can we have Don't Look Up?" Adam McKay's, I can't remember the joke, but she's like, he's very proud of the film. Apparently, he doesn't read reviews.
No, it's like,
come
obviously,
on, John, don't bomb the joke.
Obviously, the viewers don't look up reviews. The voters don't look up reviews.
Oh my God, it was so mean. Yes. The look on his face. Yeah, it was like, oh, Jesus.
It was mean. I don't know why.
What a strangely divisive film. I don't understand why it bothered you so much, and I don't understand why other people hated that movie
what bothered me was both of you guys saying it was so great. And I was like, look, I really want this movie to be important because it's an important movie, but I can't let you guys say it's good. I'm sorry.
I thought it was funny and it did some good things. Okay. I didn't say it was great.
You know what? I don't want to be negative.
Let's just talk about Don't Look Up.
Wait, what I do want to say, the silver lining with we don't need to keep talking about the slap, but the silver lining I think that nobody is talking about is that, can we stop roasting people at the Oscars? All right, that was the whole point of the Golden Globes. These movies, it's the end of March. It's been more than 3 months. The joke was cheap. It was weak. It was dumb. So even though Chris Rock is definitely going to come out as the winner in this situation, he's definitely the winner in this situation. But we don't need to rat on people. You know, little mini jabs are pretty funny. I thought the Leo one was probably as bad as it should get. The Leo one is probably as bad as it should get. You know, like Leo, he's working so hard for climate change to leave a brighter, greener planet for his girlfriends. Like that is as roasty as you should get. But just roasting, it just, you know, yeah, I'm with you. He shouldn't have said that. She shouldn't have said the Don't Look Up joke. He's nominated. He was invited. You shouldn't shit on him. Like I'm with you.
I don't know. It's nominated. He doesn't give a fuck what the reviewers thought. I wouldn't. It's like, you hated my movie, but look at that up there on the Oscar nominations. Fuck you.
It's an award show. I don't think the hosts should essentially say, you probably don't deserve this award in their monologue. That's what I think. Okay, anyway, let's get into our...
I agree.
Let's get into... You know, and even if I did love the movie, once you're there... I can't say like you don't deserve.
Let's go back to the Billy Crystal song and dance numbers. I love those.
I was about to say thank you. Like Bob Hope, Billy Crystal.
20 straight years. Why do we need to reinvent the wheel every year? This thing, I didn't say this last time, so it was my last thing. Opens with Beyonce, fine. It was great. Then it goes to the three of them, and then you have...
Hold on, wait.
Oh, man,
I just want to point out that like 3 white male hosts of a podcast were like, bring back Billy Crystal. Come on, Bob Hope. Come on, those are good times.
No, I'm happy. I'm happy with Amy Schumer out there. I just don't think she's
for all of us.
That is for all of us. Fuck.
Yeah, those guys are great.
There's no denying Billy Crystal was awesome. I grew up on Billy Crystal hosting the Oscars. That was the first Oscar broadcast I watched.
He was great.
Australia.
He was great. I don't care if you label me. He was fucking great.
Everybody knows he was great. But you open with Beyonce, and then you have DJ Khaled on stage as the hype man for these 3 people that come out. He's on stage. They're the hosts. Why are you on stage before the hosts? Then they come out. Then you cut to the DJ, which they did last year for Questlove, and that was great. And then you go back to Amy Schumer for another solo model. Like, the whole thing was stupid.
Oh, don't worry.
To your Billy Crystal point, just have one person and just let them be the show. Don't try to overproduce it.
And
Let
film the
Amy Schumer
whole
be the
thing
show.
in 1080 by 1920 and put it on TikTok next year.
Yeah, they probably should. Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, can
People
we-
would stream in for that. You're right.
Can we finish this episode? We should get around.
Jeff is done. Jeff is. It's 11:15 on the East
And
Coast.
he's not even the one that has
Dave's
like
the one that has to get up
I have
early.
to get up at 4:30 in the morning tomorrow. Where it's like 11:15 now.
By the way, I just wanted to call this out. This is the last thing I'm going to say. Jared Leto. Let's take guesses. Don't look it up. How old is Jared Leto?
Oh, I think I know.
54.
Yeah, he's 50. He's like 51.
Wow. He is 50. Well, he's 51 now. He's technically 51.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we know. He's been in our lives. He's been in our lives for 30 years. But it's yes.
That's a lie.
But
that's a lie. He's 50. He's 50. Somewhere in December is his birthday, I think. But
He's
I
the
remember
same
looking
age
that
as
up.
me.
You guys, he
looks
is as thin as he was. He is as thin as he was in person as he was in the first half of this movie before he became a superhero. He wore a white like silk suit with no shirt underneath. I was like, this guy is just. I mean, he's
Did
very
you ask
unique.
him how he
50
maintains
years
that?
old.
Because I'm fat as fuck. It might be the drinking game podcast I do
lot of
every
money.
week, but I don't know.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
I would say, for removing Dave from the equation. Do you remember what your parents looked like when they were 50? Because I did. It's like
That's the game we play. That's the game we play all the time, right?
That's like it's being single. You're really unhappy for a lot of the time, but if you're single and you have a lot of money, you can probably pull it off.
He's also just a unusually good-looking human being. But I mean, wow, 50. He was 50. That's fucking crazy.
I'm
He was
just saying
50
our
in
parents
that
looked
movie.
like they were 50. They looked like they had lived a little bit of a life, but he is trying to chase youth, and maybe he should.
Didn't we realize
maybe he should grow up.
Didn't we realize that Tom Cruise was 60 in the last Mission Impossible movie? Did we do the
but
math, or was he like 58 or something?
He's turning into the Travolta thing though, where it's like, guys, let it go.
No, don't let it go, Tom. Keep making those Mission Impossibles, dude. Dave, I can't remember the name of all those characters, but I fucking love those movies.
Benji.
That joke is never gonna get old.
Jeff, you want to keep talking?
I hope my parents' joke didn't come out as insensitive. I'm just saying, 50 was different.
You're
back
grounded.
then. Okay.
Yeah. I think. I think they should come after you for that one.
My dad just took me to the shop. Took my car to the shop. They didn't see this movie. There's no way they're listening right now. Okay, let's
Kathy
go.
and Gary, I'm gonna apologize for your son for being such a dick for saying that you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think y'all look great.
All right. It is now time to get into our final segment of this fucking episode, which is what you've been watching, where we go around the horn and tell you what we've been watching. Dave, what have you been watching?
Nice subject change. I rewatched Kick-Ass this week.
You did
Hey,
Scott
that's a
Pilgrim
fun
month
one.
ago,
Yeah,
Kick-Ass
I also
today,
watched Kick-Ass too, but I'm not recommending that.
Okay.
And I caught.
Even how about the hallway scene with the shootout between her? She's pretty kick. That's a cool sequence.
Yes, that's fair.
Where it's just her when she goes. Yeah, that's a fun one.
I also caught finally Jackass Forever, which we didn't review on this podcast because it's not a
it
cinema
good?
film. It doesn't quite get to like 2 and 3, but it definitely
2 and 3.
Why didn't we put this in our franchise face off? Come on.
It definitely finishes on a high, and it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I cried laughing a couple of times. It is definitely fun.
Shit is funny,
Yeah.
dude. Maybe it's just because we're dudes, but god damn it, it is still funny when guys hurt themselves.
No, my personal favorite is when they set up a gag, and it's not the gag they set up; it's actually a fucking booby trap, and they're fucking with everyone. Like I love the betrayals on this show.
the
It's
betrayals
just
are good.
really like works for me, and the final stunt is like epic. So
It's just ridiculous.
yeah, and I also caught, and this is the one I want to talk about the most, Halo, the TV
shit.
series
Oh
of the
yeah,
video
how
game.
is that, dude? I've been seeing billboards
Okay,
everywhere.
Yeah,
I
looks massive.
got 30 minutes into it and I turned it off.
What?
And I turned it off because I wanted to wait for my wife to get home and show her this because it's the most interesting piece of fucking sci-fi I've seen come out in a long time.
It looks cool.
And
it
we
looks
watched
just like the game.
we
It looks
watched
really
it.
good.
But the plot, I don't know. I don't have an Xbox, so I haven't played Halo. But like the storyline they embed into it, we watched the first episode in its entirety, then went straight on to episode 2, and now
Nice.
we're hanging for episode 3 to come out. It is a winner. Like it's
Really?
yeah. I would liken it to. It's almost like Star Trek versus The Expanse with something. It sits in the middle there.
What's it on? It's on Paramount
Cool.
or one of those?
It's Paramount Plus, yeah.
I love. Is it Paramount? Yeah, I don't have that.
Mm.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I've seen billboards for it everywhere.
Yeah,
I
it's
watched,
just really good.
I watched, rewatched Casablanca. Always a good choice
So
for the
good.
film
I love
lovers
it.
out there.
So good.
Yeah, and I watched the reboot of the Wonder Years. These
Oh,
are just shows.
I'm
I don't have a
curious
lot of
about
time,
that.
so we have TV shows that we
Yeah.
just turn on while we're eating and stuff.
Did they
and,
butcher it or is it good?
Butcher's a strong word. It's exactly what you think it is. It's
Butcher's a strong word.
Beer
It's
nearly
not-
went all
it's
over
not
my
bad.
laptop.
Good.
There's
Davey.
sentimentalism can get dangerous, and I think
Wait.
I think they make it their own enough. Like that whenever you're dealing with nostalgia and being sentimentality, it can be overkill. But I feel like it was if you want to watch that kind of show, I think everyone knows what it's about.
Is it
Then I think you'll probably enjoy yourself.
is it still set in the 60s?
Yeah, they didn't go as which I don't want to tie this to the fact that this is about African Americans versus a white family. It has nothing to do with that. But for whatever reason, this production doesn't go as sincerely dramatic as the original series,
Okay.
which is why as a child I loved that series so much. This one doesn't go all the way. I remember, I cried a couple times as a kid watching The Wonder Years. I was very emotional watching it. This didn't get there all the way, but you have a good time watching it.
Don't you-
I
don't
can't
you
believe
think-
I'm pitching it, but it was fun.
I know that Bel Air is coming out now, but don't you think they missed the boat? Why did they just set it in the 90s? Because now it's 30 years from the
That's a good
90s.
idea.
When it came out, it was 30 years from the 60s. So why would they do a nostalgia on nostalgia? You're being nostalgic
Jeff.
for your nostalgia. Why didn't they just set it for the 90s?
Yeah. Who
Jeff,
remembers
you missed
the
your
60s?
calling. You would have been a shark in an executive room at some of these studios, dude. I feel like you would. That's the kind of decision that somebody did not speak up and say that genius idea because it was right there in front of them.
Why would
That's
we
a
want
really
to be
good idea. I
sentimental?
can't believe they didn't
'cause
do
the
that.
whole reason it was great for us because it was our parents' childhood.
I mean, you're totally right. And obviously Don Cheadle's like doing the voice, so like it still would have
Yeah.
made sense. Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I'm not. The
Good
reason I
idea.
haven't watched is because I'm not connected to them being nostalgic for this. You know what I mean? Anyway, I think it's a line removed from me.
Yeah. No, he's right.
Okay, so I think I've said that point enough. I think It's a point for 5 minutes. Okay, so I've seen a couple things now. First things I have to recommend. I've seen 3 episodes of Atlanta season 3 are out, and it is a 10 out of 10. This
Amazing?
It
Yeah.
is. It is. Like obviously we knew it was going to be amazing, but holy shit, it's so good. It opens with I guess it's a bottleneck episode. I don't even know what you call it, but like the Fubu episode is one of my favorite ones. It essentially opens with something like that, segues right. It's so good. They're in Europe. It's like, yeah, gush me, man. It is. I can't believe how good this show. And they're short films. They're short films. If you love short films, go watch these. They're short films. Okay.
I'm gonna out myself. I have still never seen a single moment of that show.
Me
Oh,
either.
it's really, really
I need
great.
to do it.
Both of
I
us
know,
have not.
dude. Fuck
Yeah.
me. I need to watch it. Everybody keeps telling me I would love it. And
I really do feel like it's kind of a
FX and Hulu
yeah. I feel like it's
is on FX. and Hulu?
1 and 2 are on Hulu. I don't think season 3 is dumped on Hulu yet. I don't know. I could be
Okay.
wrong about that. I do think it's kind of like Insecure and Fleabag sort of meet. And then what else did I see? I saw the first episode of Moon Knight. We can save our opinions about that. I think I like the precedent that Atlanta did that everybody does is dump 2 episodes on me. Like having
Yeah.
1 episode and then I have to wait a week. I'm already
interesting.
bored of it. I wish they dumped me. I wish they gave me a
feel
couple
like
to really
Moon
sink my
Knight
teeth into it.
Moon Knight dropping 1 episode did it a disservice.
I feel like it came out 2
That's
weeks
clever.
ago.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I feel like it came
Jeff.
out. Yeah, but no.
Ready to go.
I feel like it came out 2 weeks ago. I'm already losing steam. And then it's a cake. Or no, Is It Cake?
Is It Cake?
I watched all of Is It Cake. Guys, go fuck yourself. I know we don't talk about reality TV, but Is It Cake is so great. 8 episodes. Crank
Is
them
It
out.
Cake?
I downloaded it on my iPad and watched it on my commute, and I watched the whole thing in 3 days. Is It Cake? Go watch it.
All right, I want to pitch this too, just because I keep seeing billboards for it. And I'm so excited. I'm a huge West Wing fan, so I'm gonna be all over fucking Viola Davis and First Lady as Michelle Obama. I can't
Viola
wait
Davis?
to see that limited
Yeah.
series. Have you seen any of the footage or any of
She looks
the promo stuff for it?
exactly
Like her too. I haven't seen any of the footage yet, but like I'm really hoping that the men just don't exist. Like it's just like the women and their lives, and they just refer to them. And because God damn it, she is going to become Michelle Obama.
It'd be
And
awesome.
I'm so
You know what I
excited.
can't wait for?
Also,
I can't wait for the follow up to Is It Cake? Are those balls?
Whatever. It's Emmy dump season. This is where you dump your Emmy shows. So hopefully she's got some awards coming for the future. Is it balls? Get the fuck out of here. Guys, thank you so much for staying with us this long. We really appreciate it. Like us on the socials. Dave will respond, we promise. Linktree in the notes. Let's go. Queensland, Australia, shout out. Thanks for listening.
Jesus.
Thanks, film fans. See ya.
Speaking of cheap.
Dave's got to get up.